When 69-year-old Marea Yann was found dead in her home, the whole town was in shock because Marea was the kindest person they knew. The crime scene was an act of a brutal, never-before-seen murder.
She was struck over 20 times. It was a shocking act.
It was horrendous, absolutely horrendous.
At first, it seemed as if Marea had no enemies. However, there was one person who had a real motive, her son-in-law, James.
A few years ago, James said to me, "If you ever leave me, I'll kill you. But don't worry, I'll make it quick."
James was recently thrown out of the family and was definitely furious about it, feeling betrayed.
James Unamadu was charged with murder. It took the jury just 5 hours to find him not guilty.
Family and friends were absolutely furious as they believed James was truly the killer. The police even offered a $1 million reward for information that led to catching the killer. The question remains, who murdered Marea if it wasn't James, or is it truly James who stands behind this? It was the early 2000s, and 69-year-old Marea Yann was volunteering at the East End Opportunity Shop as usual. Since she was a kid, she felt a pull towards aiding those in trouble. Raised in a big Italian family with limited funds, she understood the troubles with money. Everyone absolutely adored Marea since she was a very kind person and a friend. But in early 2003, workers at the East End Opportunity Shop detected a noticeable change in Maria's demeanor. Every time a car approached, she became agitated and visibly on edge. Anxiously, she asked them to see who it was. As per her co-workers, Marea had shared that she was frightened.
She was, every time there was a car pulled up or pulled up out the back, she was just shaking and have a look, see who it is. I mean, that wasn't Marea.
Some patrons mentioned overhearing Marea in a heated phone argument. After she ended the call, Marea informed them the caller had threatened to kill her. Marea must have known something was about to happen very soon. On the morning of Tuesday, September 30th, 2003, Matthew Clifton made his way up to Maria's house. For the past 2 years, Matthew Clifton has worked as Maria's gardener. Around 8:15 a.m. that morning, he reached the steep driveway leading to Marea Yann's residence. Marea used to join him in the garden frequently. However, as Matthew showed up that day, Marea was nowhere in sight. He knocked on the door to signal his presence and began his tasks. Half an hour later, he needed her help, so went into the house. Turning the mesh security door handle, he discovered it was unlocked. The same went for the main door. Matthew, sensing something was off, removed his boots and cautiously entered, calling Maria's name through the quiet space. Inside, the entrance unfolded into a combined living and kitchen space. There, he saw Maria's Waller on the floor near the kitchen counter, its contents scattered. The TV flickered silently in the background. It was then that Matthew spotted Marea, seated in a club lounge chair, her body slouched to one side. Matthew assumed Marea was sleeping, but as he came closer, he discovered her head drenched in blood. Marea Yann had endured 22 blows to her skull. The relentless, brutal force had left her with severe cranial fractures and a torn earlobe. The murder weapon wasn't found around the scene. Various objects could have been responsible for those injuries. Things like a piece of wood, the handle of an axe, or even an iron bar. Blood spots marked the living room, and Maria's purse bore smudges of it. It seemed like a credit card was gone, but strangely, nothing else seemed taken. The house was perfectly tidy, beds neatly made, furniture untouched. Oddly, there were no signs of a fight. Marea had no defensive wounds, no forced entry signs either, except for the front door on the west side. All doors and windows were secure. The mystery thickened. The hunt for fingerprints and DNA turned up nothing. By the living room window, a towel stained with blood lay. Apart from that, the murderer didn't leave any clues. Maria's 3 adult kids, Jeff, Rond, and Pauline, were in shock when they got the news. Monday nights were Maria's chill time, as she would relax with television. Using this info, detectives began figuring out Maria's last moments. A pathologist said she passed away between 9 p.m. on Monday, September 29th, and 3 a.m. on Tuesday, September 30th. When they discovered Maria's body, the living room curtains were wide open and only one lamp lit the room. Maria, not ready for bed yet, had on pants and a jumper. The TV, set to ABC, was silent. Around 11:15 p.m., one of her sisters tried to call, but there was no response. This was odd and indicated Marea was probably gone before the call even rang. For Maria's kids, there was one strange thing that made them stop and think. Marea was murdered while sitting in the club lounge chair right across from her TV. See, when Marea watched TV, she always used her comfy recliner. The club lounge was only for chatting with visitors. Detectives swiftly arrived at a crucial conclusion. This wasn't just a bungled robbery. Marea Yann, it seemed, knew her killer and willingly welcomed them into her home. The pressing question remains, who would do any harm to this kind-hearted grandmother? Marea was a pillar of the community. Her altruistic acts reached the homeless and those grappling with addiction, providing not just work, but also shelter. Her kindness knew no boundaries. Community members who recently interacted with Marea underwent scrutiny, yet each could provide a strong alibi for the night of Monday, September 29th. A furious resident shared with the media,
It was a cowardly act for anybody to walk into somebody's house at night while they're sitting down by the fire watching television and beat them to death. And I hope they catch the mongrel.
All eyes pointed at Maria's son, Jeff Yann, living about 80 kilometers south of Hillsville. He seemed to have the most info about her and what she did. Jeff not only had a strong alibi, but it soon became obvious he was a loving son who saw himself as his mom's guardian. Marea was really trusting, but Jeff argued that she wouldn't open her door to just anyone. He explained to the cops that she always locked both doors, the security one and the main one. She only opened them for people she knew, especially at night. On the night she was killed, Marea had her living room fireplace arranged, but not with a fire. The day she died, she went to see her sister Carmela, who lives in Hillsville too. Marea told Carmela that she went to a counselor, and it had opened her eyes. Now, she won't just watch silently when treated badly. Carmela had a hunch about what Marea meant. Lately, something bothered Marea a lot. It was about her youngest daughter, Pauline. Back in 1982, Pauline started dating James Unaru, and that seemed to be the cause of the trouble. Marea loved James from the first time they met. He came from Nigeria to Australia all by himself in the 1970s. When Marea found out he didn't have family in Australia, she warmly welcomed him. Right from the start, Pauline and James had a crazy relationship. They fought a lot and broke up many times. Pauline said James was too controlling. Maria's son Jeff used to get along really well with his brother-in-law James. They were really good buddies. But things took a wild turn when they went to James's home country, Nigeria. Jeff says he caught James cheating on Pauline. When they came back to Australia, their friendship was wrecked. While taking a break from Pauline, James hooked up with someone else. They got back together later, but James hid the fact that he became a dad during their break. He kept it under wraps for years. When Pauline finally learned the truth, it crushed her. However, Pauline decided to work it through and stayed with James. Come 2003, Marea noticed James acting all sneaky and super controlling with Pauline. It got too much for her. Marea had enough. She told Pauline to ditch the guy, and finally, Pauline started figuring out how to break free from the relationship. It's mid-April 2003. Marea goes to Pauline's place to help pack stuff. Jeff, her son, hears Marea say James got mad, grabbed her, and tossed her out. Marea was in shock. Marea thought James was bad, but she'd stick by him for Pauline. But then, everything flipped on April 21st, 2003. One day, Jeff got a call from Marea. She urgently told him to go to James and Pauline's house in Frankston. Apparently, there was a fight between the couple, and Marea was worried about Pauline's safety. When Jeff got there, he found them in the kitchen. He went up to James and said, "I can't fix things between you and Pauline, but you can't hurt Mom." Later, Jeff told the police that James suddenly pulled out a big knife and tried to grab him. Jeff escaped, grabbed a shovel, and called the police. Pauline locked herself in with James. The police came, but didn't do anything more. Jeff shared that James called him later, making a threat. If Jeff ever visited his house again, James threatened to kill him. Later that year, Pauline started divorce proceedings. Marea Yann filed a paper saying James warned her, "If you leave, I'll kill you. But don't stress, it'll be quick, and you won't suffer." Her daughter's marriage falling apart stressed Marea out a lot. People said she got really scared of James Unaru, jumping at every car near the opportunity shop. Maria's friends shared that she told them James found her at work, threatening to end her life. After that, she went on a short vacation to relax a bit. When she came back, Pauline asked her to keep some of her stuff in her shed. In that bunch were Pauline and James's stillborn baby's ashes. Jeff worried James might search for them, so he got a big lock for the shed. One day after coming back home, she was surprised to see James there. Later, she told everyone that she was sure he wanted to steal the ashes. One night at 11 o'clock, Maria's sister Dorothy got a call from her. Marea was scared. She heard a weird shuffling noise outside and didn't know what it was. According to Dorothy, after checking it out, Marea told her on the phone it was James Unnaru. Marea filed a paper in the family law court saying James came to her place on July 24, 2003. He seemed all shaky, worried that Pauline might be with someone else. James, looking tired and weak, flopped down on the couch. James confessed to Marea that he had taken something, thinking it was sleeping pills. Worried, Marea dialed an ambulance, but the paramedics found James hadn't taken enough to be fatal. Marea claimed he took more pills after they left. The next day, James came back, but a few days later, a neighbor called Marea, saying James was attempting to hang himself. After that incident, Pauline went to Maria's place for the weekend. After the weekend, Pauline came back to her rented place and felt like things were off. Outside, everything looked normal, no broken doors or windows. But as soon as she stepped in, she saw things were wrong. Big furniture was gone, and a picture she hid was out, but the photo of her boss was gone. Right away, Pauline thought her husband did it. She said James kept thinking she was cheating with her boss. Marea, upon discovering the break-in, got mad. She said in her paper that she thought James Unnaru did it. Marea didn't think James did it by himself. She said he probably got help from his nephew, who she thinks sneaked into Australia with a fake passport. Furious, Marea dialed the cops, accusing James's nephew of being here illegally. She then laid it all out for James, telling him her move and pushing him to face the harsh truth. His marriage was done. Marea said in her statement that James took her to Pauline's to help them talk things out. Maria's world flipped when James abruptly thrust his phone at her, insisting she listen. A voice on the line claimed to be Baba, a witch doctor from Nigeria. Shockingly, he revealed that James had sent a cursed photo of Dominic, Pauline's boss, who was gonna die. Baba pressed Marea to persuade Pauline to save her marriage, warning of dire consequences within 7 days if she resisted. It was a chilling ultimatum that shook Marea to her core. Marea slammed the phone down, annoyed with James's absurdity. He insisted it was part of his Nigerian heritage. In Nigeria, a witch doctor, like a special kind of healer, does things outside regular medicine. Marea later told the sisters that James warned her if Dominic didn't die soon as Baba said, he'd cut Dominic's throat. James declared, "I've lost it all. I've got nothing left. I don't care if I go to jail. No one's winning this." After this, things got quiet for a while. Then, on Monday, September 29th, Marea told her sister Carmela she had enough. Carmela heard from Pauline that she still loved James. Marea said she was done with people taking advantage and decided she'll start standing up for herself. A few hours later, Marea was found dead. Detectives thought James Unnaru might have come to Maria's place without warning while she was watching TV at night. They guessed she might have let him in, and they sat in the lounge to talk. Suddenly, Unnaru could have hit her from behind, beating her before messing up her purse to make it seem like a robbery. On the Monday Marea got killed, Unnaru wasn't at work. He had the day off from his packaging job. He spent most of it cleaning the Frankston property, getting it ready to sell. Unnaru insisted he stayed home all day, except for a short break between 3 and 5 p.m. At about 5:10 p.m., he came inside to bleach some white clothes in the bathtub since he didn't have a washing machine. After that, he cooked dinner and settled down to watch some TV. Following this, Unnaru rinsed his laundry, tried calling Pauline a few times without luck, and then called it a night. Unnaru insisted he never scared or bullied Marea Yann. Yet detectives found some of his responses suspicious. Living alone, Unnaru couldn't prove where he was between 6 and 11 p.m. on Monday, September 29th. Add to that the unsettling words pouring in from Maria's friend, and James Unnaru now became the top suspect in Maria's murder. After 6 days, the cops got permission to search Unu's house in Frankston. In the laundry's manhole, they dug up a black bag. Inside were a lot of personal stuff, court papers, orders to stay away, debts, and even a pic of Pauline's boss, Dominic. Now, they also looked into Unu's work van, a white Mitsubishi Express. The first time they checked it, it was a mess dust everywhere, torn carpet and junk inside. But this time, things were different. It seemed like someone cleaned up. The junk was gone, and it looked like they put in a new carpet. Pauline thought that was strange. She said in the whole year Unnaru had that van, he only cleaned it once. Something suspicious was definitely going on. To check if James Unnaru really stayed home that night, the police got his phone records. He had said he was out from 3 to just after 5, but at 4:15 p.m., records showed his home computer connecting to the internet. At 5:52 p.m., he called a plumber using his mobile phone.
Yep, so at 5:52 p.m, James's mobile calls the plumber for 1 minute and 30 seconds. And at that time, his mobile phone is located in the Frankston area.
At 8:40 p.m., someone called Unnaru's mobile, but he didn't pick up, so there was no info on where he was. Nothing happened on his phone until 11:15 p.m. when Unaru tried calling Marea Yann from both his landline and mobile. For 5 hours and 25 minutes, Unu's phone had no info. This could have been the time he got to Maria's house and killed her. The case against James Unaru was stacking up. He had a motive to harm Marea Yann and told many lies. But after months of checking, there was no real proof connecting him to the crime. On the other side, Pauline kept saying to detectives that Unaru knew about the big debt they had to Maria. She told the cops that Unaru understood how important Maria was in shaping Pauline's choices for the future. He knew they were super tight, and if anything happened to Maria, it would crush her. Pauline also said that many times during their marriage and after they split up, Unaru warned her, "You think this is hell? I'll show you hell." But even after that, Pauline didn't believe he could commit murder. He cared for Maria, and despite his faults, he wouldn't harm her. Jeff, Maria's son, was determined to crack the case of his mom's murder. It wasn't just about the family, the whole neighborhood was counting on it. Jeff shared with the news, "Mom did so much for everyone around here. People like her deserve more protection and dignity." Marea Yann argued against the accusations about Unaru. She stood up for her ex-husband and slammed the way the police dealt with it. She said they didn't pay attention to people who might be involved, but didn't match their idea of what went down. Throughout the investigation, there were 20 possible suspects. The main detective didn't believe Pauline's claim, stating everyone suggested had been ruled out with solid alibis. Only one person stayed suspicious in this case, and that's James Unaru. Unaru told the police that he ignored a call at 8:40 p.m. the night Maria was killed because he thought it was a plumber after money. But actually, it was Andrea King calling. She also talked to Unaru after the police searched his home and car. Andrea told detectives that Unaru got all nervous when the search came up, tapping his foot like crazy. Then, he got all curious, asking how the police could know if he was in Hillsville the night Maria got killed. Andrea overheard one of the Unaru's phone calls, where he spoke in a mix of English and some gibberish. She swore she heard Unaru say, "Keep it quiet, act like you know nothing. If cops ask, you know nothing." Andrea also said that 10 days after Maria's death, Unaru showed up at Andrea's place unexpectedly. Andrea shared that Unaru had a smirk on his face when he admitted, "I did this. I killed her." He bragged confidently that he wouldn't get caught because the police had no evidence against him. Andrea quickly distanced herself, telling him she didn't want any part in it. She demanded he leave and cease all contact with her. Soon after this supposed admission, Andrea relocated. She didn't go to the police because she thought they had proof to charge him. With Andrea's words in hand, investigators believed they didn't need to wait for the inquest results to act. On February 8, 2006, James Unaru got arrested for Marea Yann's murder. Unaru insisted he was innocent, entering a not guilty plea during the trial. In January 2008, nearly 4.5 years after Maria's death, the case had slipped from public attention. There seems to be an obvious problem. Why would Unaru confess everything to Andrea, whom he barely knew? Said Andrea King, probably just wanting to grab the $100,000 reward the cops offered. The jury was presented with evidence against James Unaru, but after just 5 hours of thinking, they decided not guilty. Maria's family and friends were in shock. Before the trial, the judge said some proof couldn't be used. The prosecutor couldn't talk about the supposed call from the Nigerian witch doctor or the so-called death threats Unaru made to Maria and Pauline. They couldn't talk about Unaru's allegedly hurting Maria or his supposed knife attack on Jeff Yann. Since Maria wasn't there to share her own experience about these events, the proof was seen as unfair gossip, so James Unaru was free to go. Maria's closest friends and family were furious about this, but they couldn't do anything. In the May of 2023, as the 20-year anniversary of Maria's death approached, Victoria Police announced a $1 million reward for any information leading to finding Marea Yann's murderer. The question remains, was James Unaru the one who killed Maria, or was it someone else who had a different reason to hurt her? One thing is certain. Maria was a caring and kind person whose life was taken too soon. If you want to help the channel grow, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.